Today we are talking about the future of World of Warcraft. We are seeing so many of our main characters just being killed off. And yeah, if we're gonna have a death expansion, then that might be fine. They might just be brought back. But is that what we really want? I mean, sure, it would be pretty cool to explore some of the places we've heard about but never seen, some of the mysteries of death, some of the villains and gods of death, and that sort of thing. But at some point, everything must come to an end. At some point, we can't keep killing off and resurrecting the same characters. We can't keep rehashing the same characters. So, what if instead we just kill everyone? Well, okay, maybe not everyone, but we kill off the characters who have been around for a while and outstayed their welcome. And we tie up a lot of the loose ends in World of Warcraft. We revisit some of the older stories that are really still left hanging. And we just have a sort of end expansion with no giant baddies, no new introductions, no interplanetary. I mean, you know I love outer space. You know I'm all for aliens and space travel, and sure. But what if we just have an expansion, Azeroth based, focused on Azeroth, where we tie up certain loose ends that we have really been waiting for conclusions for a while, and maybe we kill off the oldest of the characters, if you will, the ones that have been part of the story forever. So, yeah, that includes Sylvanas. She's been around forever. Yeah, let's do it. Let's kill them off. Leave them dead. No contacting the Bronze Dragonflight to mess with the timelines and none of that. Let's just not. The whole alternate timeline thing gets just so confusing and hard to keep track of what's canon, what's not, what we've done. What? No. Instead, let's kill everyone off. Maybe awaken Azeroth and have a much bigger cataclysm than Cataclysm. And maybe a cliffhanger, because I don't envision her being a villain or a bad guy or something like that. She's Azeroth, right? We've been fighting to protect her all this time. So maybe have her awaken and have our planet be changed, but not like all life on the planet be destroyed. Have her out and about doing whatever it is she's gonna do. Have that open for future storylines. But really, just retire the current characters. And when I say retire, I mean, like, seriously. No more bringing Thrall back. Let Sylvanas die. Let her go. No more. Actually, Illidan, I guess we could potentially use again because he's floating around out there somewhere. But let's just leave him where he is for now, too. Let's just not. No more Arthas. Just leave them all. And kill off Jaina. Kill her too. She's been around just as long. Her too. Bye. basically everyone who has been around since at least Warcraft 3. And just tie up World of Warcraft. Tie up World of Warcraft. Give it a break. Go on hiatus for a while. Give us plenty to do. Make the last ending expansion worth it. Make us want to revisit the old stories to sort of refresh our memories before putting those to bed. And while we're doing that, take your time, Bliz. Do it right. Give us World of Warcraft 2. With a different Azeroth. No World Soul inside. No more having to protect the World Soul from great big baddies. If she's awake, she can protect herself. There's no need for us to go immediately jumping back out into the cosmos. Give us World of Warcraft 2. Give us the next generations. Give us the children and grandchildren of the characters that we knew. This would include some of the current characters. We already have, Anduin. We have Rathian. We have... I can't remember everyone's name. But both of Sylvanas' sisters have sons. We have more Windrunners. We have Zappy Boy. Yeah, we also have the allied races, who are relatively new characters that we haven't spent as much time with as we did the ones that we just have so much rapport with. So maybe give us some of those. But basically give us the next generation of the Horde and the Alliance back at war with one another. Like nothing we did in World of Warcraft 1 mattered. Like, everything is cyclical. And we're back to the Horde and the Alliance. Just the next generation of the Horde and the Alliance. Trying to wipe one another out for control of Azeroth. The planet, not the World Soul. And build on it from there. Give us what we liked about the game to begin with. But don't keep trying to outdo yourselves with these way out there crazy expansions that are just basically throwing new galactic baddies at us that we don't have that sort of relationship with. Maybe Old Gods. Give us an Old God story somewhere. Give us a good Old God. Do it right. Do a long, detailed expansion of Old Gods that you're not rushing through things and leaving loose ends and leaving us just feeling underwhelmed. Give us the stories that we've been really wanting since day one. Throwing these new big baddies at us, these cosmic forces and other planets and new things like that. I don't feel like we're ready for those things because there's so much else that we just left on the table, we just forgot about. Like, hey, we forgot about the giant sword and the planet. It's still there. And we have Twilight cultists and all sorts of other... We have terrestrial problems on Azeroth that we just sort of ignore now because we're off in outer space chasing down big galactic bad guys that... Really? You expect me to believe our characters can take down demigod type characters? Like, we're mortals, right? How about we just not do that? How about we just slow down a bit and go back to basics? Go back to our roots. Go back to what we loved about World of Warcraft anyway. Maybe even go back to some of the old systems, some of the old gameplay. I'm usually not one to talk about the systems and the gameplay and all that. I'm usually not one to get involved in those conversations because I feel like there are enough people out there complaining about all of that. And if you have nothing nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. And I have thoughts to contribute. They're just not necessarily nice thoughts. Honestly, I haven't liked the systems and the gameplay at least since Kata. Probably since Wrath. But yeah, like I said, we're not gonna go into that. Let's just focus on the story. Because that's what I care about. That's what keeps me involved in the game. That and the fact that, there have been several games in which I was disappointed, had to give up, stop playing because they just became a big time and money suck. Because every time something new would come out, all the old stuff was irrelevant. I just don't really want to give up on World of Warcraft because the characters I love are still there. The story I love is still there somewhere. And when you put that much time and money in something, it's an investment. So, I would like to see some return on that investment. I would like to see those stories done justice. I'm not saying that exploring the cosmos and introducing these great big galactic baddies for us to one day conquer isn't interesting. Because it is. It's the Warcraft universe on a grander scale. I'm just saying, if you're going to throw it at us like this for this expansion, that for that expansion, and we're going through it so fast, it doesn't feel connected. We're not feeling connected to it. We don't have time to build rapport with the new characters. We don't have time to understand the motives of the new bad guys or build any sort of opinion about them. We don't have time to understand our own characters and feel connected with them anymore and feel like, yeah, we've earned this power. You're just throwing new powers and new systems at us that we're gonna lose anyway, and that we don't have the same relationship with that we did our original capabilities. I mean, as it is, I'm still pretty ticked off that when, I think it was when Legion came out, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure in WoD we warlocks, we demonology warlocks still had our metamorphosis. So, tell me why, just because you throw demon hunters in there, why you gotta take away our metamorphosis? Now, how does that make sense lore-wise? Some of us were a little irate about that and still are, clearly. But like I said, I'm not gonna go into those. Nope. I just think that if we're going to keep exploring the cosmos and we're going to keep gaining in power, it needs to make sense and it needs to feel connected. And the best way to do that really is to slow it down and possibly bringing the current World of Warcraft to an end is a good jumping off point, especially if it's done so by awakening Azeroth. There's so much potential there. And if you're going to give us the next generation of characters, if we're still going to have our characters, because hey, I mean, yeah, you could give us the option of creating new characters and maybe even giving us new races and new classes and things. But I still think the characters that we started off with should be there. I just think that we should have a connection to our power, to gaining new power, to how we become capable of taking on a demigod type character. Because honestly, some of what we've done of late just seems... What? Maybe just have us lose. Just have us outright fail. None of this pulling a miracle out of nowhere kind of thing. Just kill us too. Go ahead. Kill us off. Maybe that is what needs to happen. Maybe not only does World of Warcraft need to come to an end with the long-time NPCs dying, but us as well. Just kill everyone, save for a few next generation characters that you would expect to start the next storyline off, and give us a new World of Warcraft. A World of Warcraft on Azeroth that has been completely just not like with Cataclysm where certain zones were just flooded and unusable anymore, but where you took your time on every zone and did it justice, where it's been changed and upgraded, but it's still Azeroth. It's just a new Azeroth without a world soul and with new problems and with the next generation of the Horde and the Alliance having new issues. And maybe a few new races and a few new classes. I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but I understand that there are a lot of players who just completely lose their heads over new things, new characters, new things to do. There are certain old races that I have been wanting to be playable races for a while. I have to say, I was disappointed in the allied races. I wouldn't have been as disappointed if we'd have gotten Tortolan. I feel like Battle for Azeroth is a missed opportunity. We got our Zandalari, but come on. Sethrak? Tortolan? Why are these not playable? Actually, I've been looking at the starting screen and thinking, if you look at our create a new race screen and then you go over to the allied races, the way it's designed and set up, it almost looks like, the place where our pandas are in the allied races would be a place for the Tortolan. Because they would not be Horde or Alliance. They're an ancient race. They would just be whatever. And I think the Tortolan are great. I want a Tortolan. I might have to give my Tortolan a Ninja Turtle name, but either way, perhaps in World of Warcraft 2, we could have Tortolan and Naga and Sethra. I was born the year of the snake. I want something snaky. I want to be playing Duran Duran's Union of the Snake in the background and singing it at the top of my lungs and doing some sort of like Egyptian or Indian snake dance. I want that. Obviously, that's just a personal desire that I would like to see, and I don't care whether it's in current World of Warcraft, I don't care whether it's in a future expansion, I don't care whether it's in World of Warcraft 2. That's just something I would like to see. Obviously, I'm not saying it has to be done for the future of World of Warcraft. I want my metamorphosis back from my warlock, by the way. I want that. I want my snakes. I want my Tortolan. And if I got all of those things, would I be happy? Yes. Would I still have some complaints about the way this story is going? I would. Because for the overall player base, which is the argument I'm trying to make here, ultimately, for the overall player base, we're just feeling overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time and disconnected because there's so much new stuff being thrown at us and we're not getting what we want from the old stuff. So trying to keep up with Blizzard's constant epic storylines and then feeling like the characters and the stories that we care about are not getting their justice, or Blizzard's just screwing them over, we're feeling both overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time. And we're feeling a disconnect because we can't even feel like we're our character anymore. Our characters are supposed to be the in-game representations of ourselves. They're supposed to be our avatars, even if we're playing on a PvP server. Like, I have always PvP'd. I'm always on a PvP server. Nowadays it doesn't matter because, war mode and everything else that they've done in these cross servers. But I still roleplay, at least in my head. I'm still me in my character. My character is still a representation of myself. My character is still Alien Anatomy. I have alts that are Anastasia. I have alts that are Wilhelmina, my middle name. I have characters that represent different parts of myself. And I play those characters the way I would interact with the world if I were in Azeroth. And so, when we are not feeling like our characters are progressing in a way that makes sense, when we are not feeling like we're significant to the story, or we're feeling like all of a sudden we're too significant to the story, and not in any sort of sensible way, we don't have that connection to our avatars. If we're just there, we're just somehow managing to take on titans and we die, but then other titans step in and bring us back. Like, these titans, they could have handled their own crap, right? They could have taken care of business themselves. What were we even there for? What was the point? I just don't like the way the stories are currently being told. I like the concepts. I like the ideas behind them. I just feel like maybe Blizzard's trying to rush through it. Maybe we shouldn't be on a certain time frame. What is it, 77 days or something is the new thing? Take your time. Do it right. Give us plenty of content to keep us occupied while you're doing it right. If you aren't wasting your time giving us new powers and then taking them away and giving us new gameplay systems that we're not going to have the next expansion anyway, and messing with all of that, then you can take the time to do the story right and put other things in there for us to do, daily quests, whatever you want to do. Like, you know what was really fun? And I think this was a Cataclysm thing. I think. This is something I still do to this day because it's just plain fun. You know that quest chain, which is also then a daily once you complete it, for, it's like Plants vs. Zombies, it's there in the foothills? Whatever's below Silverpine. Hillbrads? It's there. There's a goblin. So yeah, it would have to be like Cataclysm, I think. I think it's when we got it. There's a goblin, and he's got a garden, and you're defending it with plants. It's how you get your singing sunflower. That was fun. Alright, it's not very time-consuming, but it's something to do, and it's fun. And there were people, I understand, who like the Pandarian gardening. I don't know. I actually quit for a while when the Mist of Pandaria came out because I just expected it to be horrible. I basically expected Mist of Pandaria to be WoD. So when Mist of Pandaria came out, I'm like, all we get are freaking pandas, really? And it just, no. I didn't play. But then when WoD came out, I was expecting it to be great. So I came back like just before WoD released and played through Pandaria and actually was pleasantly surprised. And then WoD happened, so But yeah, just give us something fun and something that makes sense. Give us systems that we can build upon every expansion and not lose. One thing I used to like was that our professions actually mattered in gameplay. They don't matter anymore. Seriously, how many people out there are actually still scribes? What is the purpose of a scribe anymore? We don't have glyphs. That used to be a scribe's thing, right? Like, that was your bread and butter. You were a scribe, you made glyphs, you made bank off of the auction house with those glyphs, because even if it's just something cosmetic, like turning your pet into a penguin or something, it was fun. It had meaning. That's all it takes. Sometimes less is more, Bliz. Sometimes it's the simple pleasures in life or in Azeroth. And that's all we need. Just give us that. And if you are going to end World of Warcraft and do like a World of Warcraft 2 with the next generation, or whatever you're planning, stick with that philosophy. Take your time. Don't feel like every expansion has to be almost a completely new game. There was nothing wrong with the old game. That's what we fell in love with. That's what we like. I think we proved that. I think we proved that when we proved you wrong about, hey, yeah, we knew what we wanted when we said we wanted Classic. We knew. You don't think those of us who played from the start remember having to actually buy Regents in order to do anything? Like, I remembered. I was aware. I still wanted Classic. Let me buy those regions. Let me have to buy my arrows. Let me run out of arrows because I forget to buy arrows. Let me have this problem. It's what keeps the game interesting and fun. But yeah, I have ranted about systems when I didn't mean to. This is what I try not to talk about. I don't want to talk about gameplay or systems or any of that stuff. I don't want to talk about Classic, and I don't want to talk about all the negative things that we feel about World of Warcraft. I just want to talk about moving forward, learning from our mistakes. Bliz, please. And giving the characters that we love a justified ending. We can't hold on to them forever, but we can at least say goodbye in a meaningful way and not feel the need to bring them back, especially if we're going to have their children or grandchildren. You know, a part of them will still be with us. That storyline will continue. Varian's dead. We have Anduin. Deathwing. I'm not sure how I feel about Rathian yet. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not sure how I feel about him. But he's growing on me. And there's potential there. Especially if we get some more dragon storyline. There's some loose ends to tie up with the dragons too. There's always more stuff with dragons. But just move on. Let's bring World of Warcraft to an appropriate, acceptable close. Something we can all say, okay, that works for me. I have no complaints. I mean, people are going to have complaints, but because you can't please everyone. But something that we can, for the most part, the player base as a whole, be satisfied with. And not completely outraged. And then, if you're going to do a World of Warcraft 2, don't feel like you have to do it in specific time frames. Don't feel like you have to monetize everything. Don't feel like you have to rush through everything. And don't feel like you have to keep giving us bigger and badder bad guys and storylines. Just give us the things that we like and that we know we like. Give us an occasional big mind twisty, bendy, out there, something juicy for all of us to go crazy down all sorts of speculatory avenues. But don't feel like every expansion has to be this big, complex, just end of the world kind of thing. Sometimes all we need is a good Horde Alliance Battle Royale. Just a good PvP expansion. Just let us have something like a tactical expansion where we're doing all these sort of mini... Oh, I don't know how to say this. I don't want to bring other games into this to use as examples. That's my problem. But where our characters are making significant tactical decisions, and each of us can set it up differently, and the outcome is different depending on how we set it up. Like, that would give our character significance. That's something people want. People want our choices to matter. People want our characters to be a part of it without like sometimes if our characters are just the champions and the pawns, if you will, being used to take on a demigod, it makes the NPCs that we see as our heroes, it makes them feel, I don't know, cheap, insignificant. It just doesn't feel right. So, a good way to give us a meaningful character interaction would be to give us the opportunity to be like the general making the decisions in a specific war campaign or on a battleground or something. Like, let us place our soldiers, let us make these decisions, let us send them off into battle, and let us have some contribution to the outcome, and let it have some sort of meaning. Like, maybe, depending on how each of us play, like, I know that not all the servers are balanced, you know, you got a Horde, you got the Alliance, but maybe overall, on every server, depending on how each of us play, like, let's say all the Horde players on a server are completely without any strategy, we just suck. Let's say we have no strategy whatsoever, and all the Alliance players are actually really good at the decisions they're making. So maybe on that server, the Alliance is victorious, but maybe on another server, the Horde players are on it, and they're victorious. Like, there's things you could do with this. And it doesn't have to affect the entire main story. I mean, you can still find a way to bring the story to an end such that everything is back to being balanced, because, let's face it, we're not going to have an overall Horde victory or an overall Alliance victory. Eventually, there's just going to be so much loss on both sides that we're gonna have to reach a treaty. But in the meantime, we could really have a ball with just an outright battle royale, which I think if Battle for Azeroth had been just a Horde Alliance battle royale, that would have been enough. I think, you know, we were more or less sick of working together there for a while, and we just missed beating the crap out of one another. But anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Hopefully somebody at Blizzard hears this and puts some of this to use, maybe understands what I'm saying about our professions and about the systems, that little bit I threw in there. Since I've said it now, since I didn't want to say it, I didn't want to get drawn into it, but since I've voiced those opinions, hopefully somebody hears them and it matters to someone. But I would like to see some changes in how Blizzard presents the gameplay too, obviously, but the story primarily in the future. I would like for it to feel more connected. I would like to feel that connection to my avatar again. So that's my thoughts on that.